Hey everyone, let's have a heart to heart today about a question that might be on your mind as we're talking about sugar and how processed sugars aren't really that good for us. They aren't for us at all, as a matter of fact. And you've probably seen them everywhere, but we're going to talk about natural sugar substitutes. You may have seen them on your grocery store shelves and some in your favorite recipes. But we're going to answer the big question today. Do these substitutes actually help us? And do they help us prevent cancer? So let's dive in together. And welcome back to day 34 of our Proven Cancer Strategies Revealed 90 Days to Cancer Resilience series. I'm Debbie Sadify, and today we are exploring the rise of the natural sugar substitutes. You know, it's amazing how these alternatives have become very popular. And I know because we're always looking for ways to make better choices and swapping out the refined sugars for something more natural seems like a no brainer. But before we can make any assumptions, today we are going to take a closer look at what these substitutes really offer us. Are they really what we are expecting? Right. So let's start by breaking down some of the most common natural substitutes for sugar. You've probably heard of stevia, honey, of course, maple syrup is another one, coconut sugar, and even monk fruit. And these sweeteners are often touted as being healthier alternatives to regular processed sugar. But let's talk about them because what do we really know about them? So we'll start with stevia. This is one big favorite. It's derived from the leaves of the stevia plant, and it's up to 300 times sweeter than sugar and has virtually no calories. Wow, that sounds pretty good to me. No calories and it's sweet. And it's been praised for its ability to sweeten without spiking our blood sugar levels. There's honey, and we often think of honey as natural, wholesome food. It is rich in antioxidants, and it's been around for centuries, and it's been used for medicinal purposes. But remember, it's still a form of sugar. And I want to point out a couple of things. Honey is not considered vegan. Now, I know I'm plant-based, and everything that I talk about is really about supporting a plant-based lifestyle. And honey is not vegan because it's produced by bees. And in the plant-based community, veganism often extends beyond the dietary choices to include considerations for animal welfare and exploitation. And since honey involves using bees, many vegans choose to avoid it as part of their commitment to not consuming animal products or byproducts. And so there is now a vegan honey out on the market. There's probably a number of them. And guess what? They're all processed foods. The other thing I want to say about honey is the honey industry does face some issues with its authenticity and purity. There have been cases where the honey is adulterated, which means it's all mixed up with other substances like sugar syrup or corn syrup and is still sold as pure honey. And this is really not only compromises the quality, but also deceives the consumers. And additionally, some honey is sold on the market is not truly made from bees, all right, which does also raise some other concerns about transparency and trust in the industry. And for those who are committed to ethical consumption and avoiding processed or adulterated products, it's important to source honey from reputable, transparent suppliers. if you are choosing to use it in your diet. And when I was taking my raw food chef course, honey did come into one of the units as a possibility. And the way to really make sure that you're ethical is to go to a very local farm where they love their bees versus just buying it off the grocery store shelf. So I just want to make sure that you are aware, if you are using honey, that you are understanding that there is some things with honey that you have to watch out for. Now, as a Canadian, maple syrup is another great alternative. It's made from the sap of maple trees, which is a big thing in Canada, especially in Quebec and Ontario. Geez, I have a couple of maple trees in my backyard, boy. And maple syrup actually does contain vitamins and minerals, but it's still a concentrated source of sugar. And while it's less processed than white sugar, that doesn't mean it's free of all health concerns. Coconut sugar is a sweetener that comes from the sap of the coconut palm tree, and it retains some nutrients like iron and potassium. However, it's similar in calorie count to regular sugar, and it still will impact your blood sugar. And finally, monk fruit is another popular substitute known for being incredibly sweet while being calorie free. And it's been traditionally used in Chinese medicine for centuries, and it doesn't seem to be raising blood sugar levels. And you can buy monk fruit in the grocery stores, and I see it around. So let's now talk about the $64,000 question. Do these natural sugar substitutes help prevent cancer, or kind of what's the health impact, if any? And so the research here is a bit mixed. On one hand, using the substitutes like stevia and monk fruit can help reduce your overall sugar intake, which is beneficial. And high sugar consumption has been linked to obesity, which is a known risk factor for several cancers, and much more than that. And if you want to know more about the risks, you can check out some of our other YouTube videos on sugar. And so there's a sense, in one sense, you're reducing your sugar intake, and it could be indirectly lowering your cancer risk. But we need to be cautious here because the evidence specifically linking natural sugar substitutes to reduce cancer risk is still emerging. There are some studies that suggest that these substitutes may be better for managing weight and blood sugar levels, which could contribute to lower cancer risk over time. However, there is no definitive link, and where the jury is still out. And so it's also important to consider the big picture, which is that no single food or sweetener will make or break your health, but you want to look at the quality of your diet overall. That's what matters most, and getting those nutrient-dense foods into you. And so we're going to now just do a little pro and con about using these natural sugar substitutes in your diet. So on the pro side, they will, like stevia and monk fruit are virtually calorie free, so they can help to reduce your caloric intake and help with weight maintenance. They also tend to not increase the blood sugar as much, so you aren't going to get those sharp blood sugar spikes that you do with regular sugar. making them better options for people who have diabetes or are trying to maintain stable energy levels. And these substitutes are coming from plants, which makes them more appealing than synthetic sweeteners. And for me, I would definitely say to stay away from synthetic sweeteners. That's processed, right? Now, the con side of it, they are still sweeteners. Even though they're natural, these substitutes are still sweeteners, and they rely, and if you're relying on them, you're keeping your taste buds acquired to that high level of sweetness, which makes it harder for you to enjoy the natural flavors of whole foods. We talked a little bit about that yesterday. There is some changes in your taste buds that happen when you ditch the high sweet sugar. And so it's also not a free pass, but because just as if these are natural doesn't mean you can use them without limits. And so if you're using substitutes like honey and maple syrup, they are still forms of sugar and can contribute to weight gain if used excessively. And I know in some cases they'll say the limit on, say, maple syrup or honey would be like 1 tablespoon a day max. And the other thing is there is a lack of long-term studies, and there are some current studies that suggest that these substitutes are safe, but we don't have any long-term data on their effects, particularly when it comes to cancer prevention. All right, so now let's get into our Q&A. And one question might be, is honey better than white sugar? And I'm going to say that, yes, it does have some beneficial properties like antioxidants, but it's still a form of sugar and should be used in moderation. And do heed what I said earlier about the fact that it can be adulterated. So be careful about where you're getting your honey from. And if you are vegan, then it may be something that you're not going to want to use. All right, so now let's open it up. Kathy.
So I'm thinking about this because I'm going to make a Costco run. I see agave a lot. Do you have anything on agave? I mean, I know it comes from the cat. It's supposed to come from the cactus, but
Yeah, so agave is similar to maple syrup because it comes from a plant. So I would consider it very similar to maple syrup. As a matter of fact, it kind of is a bit of how do I put this? Maple syrup is on a little higher status than what agave is. So if you are going to continue to use those sweeteners, I would say stick with your maple syrup over the agave.
Okay. And then the next one I have is I know you did on one of your Deb shows. You talked about, I can't remember. There's a like it's is it INE or something like that? What I've noticed is that on the boxes or packaging, you think you're getting, let's say, stevia, and then when you look at what's in it, the main ingredient is not stevia. Like stevia is like a little teeny bit of it, but it's other things like
So it's
inulin or
basically
something like
processed
that.
stevia. Yeah. To be honest, I haven't looked into that part. I will take
Yeah.
a look on that so we can maybe comment tomorrow on the
I think it
stevia and
might
the
be just a marketing ploy because I'm seeing it in everything. Like even like when I looked at the stevia, like one of the main ingredients was sucralose, and I know that you've shared that that's sugar or
yeah.
dextrose or something like that. It's like they're trying to be really sneaky.
They are. I was going to say that the one of the things that the big food industry is very good at is is picking up on trends of things that are becoming popular and kind of using those buzzwords or foods, even, just to put a little bit in, or, it doesn't mean, like you said, that it's pure. You still have to be very cautious about reading your labels. And one of the ones that I like to think is the uh, gluten-free, or trans fat-free, some of those things that kind of came up. And you'll see them say it's gluten-free on something that never, ever in a million years had gluten in it to start with, but they like to
Oh,
put, because people pick up on that. Oh, it's gluten-free. It must be good for me, because, when the all of the rage is about gluten, right? So it's the same thing. It's a little bit of a buzz that, people probably pick up on. Oh, stevia, maybe it's got to be lower calorie, but still tastes good. It doesn't have the sugar in it. But yes, definitely, good job. Looking at those labels is really important.
and then I have to tell a story, but I'm also like your feedback. So, I have a little patio garden, and I got like a 3-inch stevia plant, and I put it in a pot, and now it's about 4 feet tall. And I
Ooh,
started
wow.
chewing on a leaf, and it really is sweet. It's got a kick to it. And I was thinking about what you said about the teas, and I see I have a problem where I don't want to kill something, but I know it's going to die when the frost comes anyway. So I was thinking about what you were saying about the teas, and I'm wondering if I should just, cut it and dry the leaves and see if I can, use those as a sweetener. Have you ever thought about that?
No, I haven't, but I'm just wondering if you could just put it like a leaf into your tea and see how that goes. Like I was
That might
saying
work
about
too.
putting your mint in, you could try that.
Yeah.
Now,
Well,
I
see,
mean
this
that
is one of
that
those plants. This is one of those plants you can't bring it in a house. I mean, it's 4 feet tall. So I'd have to do something with it
Oh, I see. Okay.
before the
Well, I was
frost
just
kills it.
thinking about now, like in the summer while
Yes,
you've still got it.
yes. I should try that with my coffee and see what happens.
Yeah. I mean, you know where it comes from, and it's
Yeah,
not processed. But we can look into that. I like that
but
as a
it's kind of
question.
it's a pretty plant. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a nice plant. I don't know what it would do like in a bed, but in a pot, it looks really pretty.
Yeah. Okay, well, look, yeah, those are some really good questions that we will get back to. Maybe tomorrow we'll get some feedback on that as we go into the kitchen tomorrow. And guess what we're going to be doing in the kitchen tomorrow? Might be some, hmm, might be some sweet treats that don't have
Oh yeah,
sugar in them, nor do they have any of these sweeteners in them. So that'll be
I
for
love it.
tomorrow. All right. So when we look at these sweeteners, what's the bottom line? The natural sugar substitutes can be part of a healthy diet if they're helping you to reduce your sugar intake a little bit, but we have to remember they're not a magic bullet. And if we're focusing on our overall dietary patterns, we want to look at eating our whole plant-based foods, staying active and maintaining a balanced lifestyle. And if we're still hooked on the sugar, and that's very sweet taste, we're not picking up on some of the subtleties of some of the other foods that are whole foods that are really important. And if you're looking to take your health journey to the next level, I'd love to invite you to join us for our Sweet Escape, your sugar detox journey. Our webinar is next Wednesday, August 21st at 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. We are going to dive deeper into how you can make smart, sustainable choices to your diet. And the link below, you can click on it to sign up. And if you are not able to make the webinar at 1 p.m., at least if you sign up, you will get access to the replay. And if you found this video useful, give it a thumbs up and share it with someone who may be curious about sugar and sugar substitutes. Thank you so much for spending time with me today. We'll see you tomorrow in the kitchen as we explore some sweet treats that are simple, simple, simple. Anyone can make them. And as always, stay resilient.